This assignment really helped me gain a bigger view of just how much the simple things in my childhood and in middle school and even now that really went into shaping how I speak and how I view my own voice. The right to speak helped me understand this, and these are the 4 quotes that stood out to me the most. The first one is from page 80, and it reads, "They will frequently blurt out replies to my questions, then show surprise and a little embarrassment that they have done so." I grew up in downtown Toronto and went to a Waldorf community school where the whole shtick was that learning is cool and it is good to ask questions and use your voice and stand up for yourself and speak your own opinion. And it was very left wing, and it was just such an inclusive space. And then I moved to Nova Scotia and I went to a public middle school, which was just, it was a leftist neighborhood, but it was filled with very conservative students. And they didn't like anyone who didn't fit the norm, and I did not fit the norm. I was loud and rambunctious, and I didn't really understand the social cues because I was raised differently, and it was a really difficult experience. I didn't understand what I was doing wrong. I would raise my hand like I was taught, and then I would get bullied for it. When I asked questions, they would snicker in the corner, and it taught me that it's not cool to speak up. It's not good to speak up because you're going to get made fun of. And in the moment, that felt like the end of the world. Looking back, of course, I know it wasn't, but it felt like it. This greatly impacted my voice. In high school, I grew, I found my people, I learned to speak my opinion, I got more into politics and feminism. But it still resides in me, the fear of being judged for how loud I'm speaking, or what I'm saying, or asking questions in class. Sometimes I worry I'm talking too much in class, or I raise my hand too much and people are going to think I'm a nerd. The second quote is from page 72. It reads, "Rarer, but also possible, is the child who gains a precious mastery of language that intimidates a parent by its clarity, imagination, and forcefulness." I learned to speak incredibly young. And even though I didn't really understand what the words on the pages I was reading meant, it sounded smart to the adults around me. This was just incredibly amazing for a parent to witness, to watch a child flourish so well. And so, of course, my parents showered me with compliments. I'm an only child, so I'm the center of attention. And to have parents who were so just awed and amazed and intimidated by me, that they built me up and supported me so strongly and just let my creative energy flow, that has impacted my voice in such an amazing way. It's incredible how comfortable I am now because of my parents. With the world I grew up in, I would be far off, way worse without my parents. Having been there to support me and remind me that what I have to say is worth saying. In contrast to the previous quote, there were things in my life that made me feel like I couldn't say what I wanted to say, but it started off with the root of what I say deserves to be heard, my voice matters. And I still fundamentally believe that today. It's had a shaky journey, but we're doing good today. Next quote is from page 97. It reads, "Laughter can bond groups and exclude others. The in-joke or expression can be a very exclusive verbal domain." As I grew up, I got scared that people didn't like me. I have a generalized anxiety disorder diagnosed, and it really, it began to seep into me in middle school when I started getting bullied. That if people didn't like who I am, then I just can never be who I actually am, because what if people don't like it? So I'll just be someone else, because then if they don't like them, then that's not actually me. So I spoke in a British accent for a year. I just changed my accent and said I had been faking the year before. I lied to an entire grade of middle schoolers because I wanted to be different. I craved some expression that wasn't really me but felt more like me. So I spoke in a British accent for a year in grade 7. And I still talk in a British accent sometimes. And so the fact that this decision I made so young because of all these insecurities still affects my natural resting voice is crazy. Was eye-opening to realize the fact that this laughter that I long to be a part of, I long to be in, I needed to change myself in ways that I thought would fit me, so I changed my voice. Our fourth and final quote reads, "We must open our voices without fear and repression. Let them come through as far as possible without censoring judgment." Of course, I could not talk about my own voice without talking about the fact that I'm a woman. I'm a huge feminist. I've been a feminist since birth. I went to so many rallies with my mother as like a baby and a Bjorn. I was like raised to be very, very passionate about just like struggles. And so because of this, I was also kind of sheltered. My mom cared very deeply for women, so she always spoke of them in a high regard, and so did my father. And they had friends who had similar interests as theirs and similar worldviews. And so I was raised in a very left space, so I couldn't comprehend the fact that someone could think of a whole sex as less just because they're not men. And so it wasn't until I was thrust into the real world when I realized it was true. All the things they'd been saying, all the young women who had come forward and talked about young, like, weird old men commenting on them, I was like, that can't be true, men couldn't do that. And then I was 13 and walking in a skirt going down to my knees, and I got sexually harassed for the first time. And it made me way more evident of the fact that men were a threat. Whether I wanted them to be or not, whether I viewed them as one or not before, I now had to. And it made me very careful of the way I spoke around them. I find myself fawning around them, like I need to act like I'm the most innocent, unharmable thing so that they don't even try to harm me. I censor myself around them. I don't talk about the way I feel about politics because I worry that they'll harm me. And I know that in order to make a change and free my voice, I need to get past that barrier that I've put in place of myself of being afraid to speak up around men. And I think that is a really big thing I need to challenge, because in order to make a change, you have to change yourself first. Thank you.